Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Sifu Messiah. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links can be found in the description for everything we discuss, so let's get on with it. So, I just want to kick it off with a big thank you to Lyrium and Dark Fire Eye, who have become our latest patrons. Thank you very much, your support is truly wonderful. So, this week we have 10 for the Artists and Around the Verse episode 45. I have included the 10 for and Around the Verse from the week that I was away. Plus, we have a concept sale for a new multi-crewed starter ship called the MISC Reliant. Do not go anywhere. Okay, so this Monday we had the second edition of 10 for the Artists. I only picked out 3 of the questions because the majority of the questions they were asked a more personal opinion about what they look forward to and so on and so forth. If you are interested, do watch the video yourself, but the questions I picked out are more gameplay related. So, starting with the first question, will players be able to distinguish NPCs from real players in the persistent universe? Now, this is a question I think is quite important. Personally, I would not like to be able to distinguish unless, you're having to follow them and check out the way they act and so forth. Or like they say in this question, maybe use a scanner. So they say that they will have to play test it first to see what works best where. They said that they're not fans of having icons, so that there's more weight behind your decisions about whether or not you engage them, or in case they're a player you may not. So he says if there are no icons above a player's head, you would need to use a scanner on your ship to determine whether or not they are real players or NPCs, and then decide whether or not to fight. But they don't want you to be able to tell at a glance, but it is not decided yet. This is just the artist's opinion. They say there will be more thrill and it will make you think beforehand if there is no distinguishing marks between NPC and real player, because you will decide, I could probably handle an NPC, but with a real player you never know what they're going to be like. They did say they didn't really want the arcadey effect of having red blips on the radar instantly so you know that they're enemy. I think the way it'll work is you'll scan the person you are looking at and it'll tell you their name, and I think that may determine whether or not you are dealing with a real player or an NPC, unless they have a roleplay name, which even then you may not know, and if you hail them or maybe try and talk to them, then you'll possibly be able to tell. I don't know. I don't want it to be so obvious that there are names popping up everywhere, and in the first person shooter I don't want you to have names above your head. It ruins it for me. Anyway, next question. What will the artist role for uninhabited planets be? Will you essentially create planet texture sets and then use procedural generation to kick in and create the planet? Can we expect planet-side environments that require specialist equipment like breathing apparatus, temperature protection, gravity protection, and possibly some sort of visibility differences, etc. So again, a pretty cool question there. And they mentioned that they are obviously creating the habited planets first, because this is where we will be visiting first. He says the uninhabited planets in the future, they're currently doing research and development into procedural generation, which will be used. So they put, I think, one of the stretch goals was $1 million into the research and development for procedural generation to figure out how to use it to its full extent. Artists will still need to be used in order to create certain assets, but it will create places much quicker. They did say that breathing apparatus and ships being affected by the atmosphere is still being worked out, but regarding environments, they say if you go into or through a hot environment, they do have the technology at the moment for your ship to be burnt or scorched, as we have seen with the damage tech. So if you are in an environment which is quite hazardous to your ship, you will see effects of this physically on your ship, which will stay there until you get it repaired or repainted or so forth. So it's pretty cool. Hopefully we'll see how the procedural generation will work in its fullest, because certain games coming out may not use it as well as Star Citizen could possibly with the money they have back to do this. So we shall see. So the third and final question that I picked out of 10 for the Artists is, are there any plans to allow us to use the red, green, blue sliders for layers or colours, etc. for ship customizing? And he says that you can currently change materials and colours, but it hasn't yet been implemented for us. So they have the tech to do this already. Once in place, they say you could paint your M50 black or your Constellation blue, but they want it to keep the design consistency, so they don't really want a fully pink Constellation flying past. But there will be a wide range of colours to choose from. And I suppose, I know they related it to buying a car, where you get to choose the different paint jobs. I assume you'll be able to paint certain sections with certain colours, but as a whole, one colour, I don't know. I mean, I think the freedom of choice should be left to the player, because in the real world, we still get pink cars driving around, so why not? Anyway, that was the 3 questions I picked out. Tell me your thoughts on them. I would like to hear them. So, over the week that I was away, the first post that came up was a 10 for the artists. Now, I've only chosen about 3 questions out of this because a lot of the time they speak about personal preference, which isn't really gameplay related, which is what I'm more interested in and is what I want to put out to people. If you are interested, please do check out the post. I'll put a link in the description where you can watch the full thing, but I just picked out what I find the most interesting. Anyway, the first question is, when can we expect to see some concept art for alien animals and plant life? And they say that the races are still being fleshed out as they speak. The details are as complex as you can imagine. Some aliens will come from different gravity planets. The Vandal environment, for example, is in a 3D environment, and this obviously affects their look. And they said that plants are being worked on by the Persistent Universe team, but they did say that we shall see some PU stuff next month, which is very exciting. Obviously, the social module is coming up, and we will see some plants within that. Animals, they say they do have pets. Obviously, as you probably know, one of the stretch goals was pets. If this is the first time you've heard this, you can get excited now. You will be able to have your own little Jonesy cat on board. But they say some of the alien pets, and obviously some of these pets will be alien creatures that we have never seen before, but they've not even started concepting them yet because they've obviously got a shed load of work to be getting on with. So we will obviously be able to see that maybe you can catalogue flora and fauna while you are in the verse. Anyway, next question is, when it comes to clothing, are you designing them with the expectation that you will be able to change the cloths, patterns and materials? And they say yes, customization across the board is something they have focused on. Change the skin colour, the body type or body shape, lots of accessories. They say there will be a hell of a lot of flexibility in customization. So they haven't really gone into exactly how much detail, but I expect each person will be unique because they are really homing in on creating your own self in the verse. So, final question is, can we expect to see cool graffiti in the bad areas and maybe some regional differences on different planets, or inspired by the Jeanne or Vandal? And they said that yes, the PU team is working at creating a huge mix of environments which reflect cultures. They say Earth is built up and bustling, away a bit from sort of the centres, the sort of rough and tumble areas, and obviously the further away you get more of a frontier style edge, sort of outlaw pirate type. They say it's sort of like Luke Skywalker's home planet, or maybe Serenity could be seen as the frontier, so that's pretty much where I want to live anyway. But the graffiti, they say, it's not traditional like you would see around here. You get it on the space station. Nick's space station is sort of a derelict asteroid, and there is some graffiti there, but they say it's not traditional because where do they get the spray cans from, the spray paint from? It's sort of like a digital spray paint where, I don't know, maybe your Mobi-Glass has some magic way of doing it, but they say that we could tag in the future. So if you could start your own little gang in Nick's, or your pirate gang, and you can tag maybe a ship or certain areas. I don't know to what scope they're going to go to, but it does sound pretty interesting. Anyway, that was 10 for the artists. Tell me your thoughts on all the questions and the answers. I would like to hear them. Let's move on. So the post up next for the Lost Week was Around the Verse episode number 42. And it started off with a cool little video, sort of Hitchhiker's Guide-esque. I'll play it for you now.
Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 98 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think console games from big publishers are a pretty neat idea. This planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this. Most of the people on it weren't playing space games. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movements of big video game publishers, which is odd, because on the whole, big video game publishers weren't making very good games. And so the problem remained. Lots of the people weren't being space pilots, and most of them were miserable, even the ones with game consoles. This is the story of a game called Star Citizen. Not a console game and not one seen or heard of by any publisher. Nevertheless, a wholly remarkable game. In many of the more relaxed civilizations on the outer eastern rim of the UEE, the Star Citizen has already supplanted the great Wing Commander as the best damn space sim ever. For though it has many modules yet to be released, and contains much that is still in alpha, or is at least wildly incomplete, it scores over the older, more pedestrian work in two important respects. First, it is slightly larger. And secondly, it has the words PC Game inscribed in large, friendly letters on its cover. Welcome to Around the Verse, episode 42, the talk show at the end of the universe.
And we were sat with Sandy and Ben after that very, very cool video, very nicely put together. So, starting with news from around the verse, Santa Monica CIG, they say they have shared the vehicle perimeters, which allows the loading times to be much quicker. And I don't know if you've noticed, in Arena Commander now, when you try and load up a game, it's almost instant. Anyway, wingman improvements and wingman commanders. You can now taunt your enemy, as we heard last week. You can attack, you can defend, you can tell them to go check this area. They're doing the voiceover dialogues for it. Very, very cool. Also, in regards to cargo now being designed, they've been taking all the 3D models of every ship, properly measuring the cargo space. And as we can see now on the ship specs page, the cargo capacities are accurate to this time. So, Ilphonic, they say breathing, they're working on the breathing system. They say so many systems affect your breathing, so focus is on making sure all breathing components work well together. But it's taken a little time to get right. They say they're very, very excited about it, and it really makes you feel like a part of the world. And I am, again, so excited to see how it will work with the FPS. Can't wait to get our hands on that. So over to CIG in Austin. They're currently working on the star map. Now, the star map was actually leaked to the public, and so they're moving stuff around, so some systems will still remain unknown. They don't want people to see it and already know. I don't want to see it. I haven't seen it, luckily, but I would rather explore things myself. So they've moved stuff around so that if you did see the leaked star map, it is changed. It is not as it was back then. And obviously they are working the star map to public release, which again, once the star map comes out, I will start doing sort of a guide to all the systems, which will tie in nicely for when the game is released, because I do plan on doing sort of a traveller's guide to Star Citizen, which hopefully will be a good series. It all depends on how well I can fly. Anyway, over to Foundry 42. They say they are scouring the forums to get info on what we thought of the tutorial. And from that, they will be fixing the bugs and making it so that, ready for when they release 1.1.3, which is out now, because this is old news, remember. But I'm putting it out there in case there was anything we missed. Anyway, from there, we went to Ben Lesnick, who was interviewing Dan Tracy, and they were looking at the Hull series. Apparently, Ben actually invented them in a backstory for one of the jump points, which is quite interesting. But yes, if you are interested in what they have to say, the link is in the description to Around the Verse, episode 42. And then you can use the links within that episode to find the interview. Now, also, the next interview after that was with John Schimmel, who is the head of linear content. And there's a couple of videos, I'll put them up. They say they're working on the performance capture shoot for Squadron 42. They say it's going great. And it's as if they're literally shooting a feature film. And so it's kind of a difficult one, because it's going to have to, it's like a full shoot or a full sort of cut scene has to be worked in one go, because they want the energy of the actors being together, being close in proximity and actually talking to each other rather than acting as if they're there, because they say it just creates much more of a realistic feel. So very difficult job, but they say they're doing well. Chris Roberts is insistent on holding on to a compelling story as well. So not only will it be probably a master feat in gaming, it'll be an absolutely wonderful story to play through and enjoy. So the new segment, which is Lisa Ohanian with Shipshape. Few images. They say they're working on the Connie and the Freelancer currently. We saw last week or the week before that there was the constellation images of the new constellation. Very, very cool. But today she's talking about the P-52 Merlin, which is the little ship you find attached to the Connie. They say they've finished off some updates with all the new systems for this, and they are now adding the damage conversions, so even that ship will just be beautiful, it'll be quick, it'll definitely pack a punch. And so the final part for Around the Verse 42 is the sneak peek, and it's a bit late now, I'm afraid, but it's the Starfarer toilet or shower block. A very unique idea, and I do like that, but we've seen it already. So, on to Around the Verse. This is episode 45. Ben is still alone, bless him. Sandy's obviously still in London doing the motion capture shoot, and we had a little update with her and Chris showing off the performance headset that they used to capture the face and the body motion capture rig, which it all looks very impressive, but very expensive. Anyway, they say it's going really well, and I hope that we get to see some more footage of the actual gameplay. So news from around the verse, starting with CIG in Santa Monica. They say that they are trying to get the Merlin flight ready, so hopefully we get to see or test that out soon. The item port system is being transferred over to the FPS. It's the same they use for the ships, where you can attach anything to everything, well, provided they fit. It's going to be the same for the FPS, so you can wear things, you can, attachments for your rifles. They're also working on the true multi-crew support, which is something very big and something that I think the majority of people are waiting for is this multi-crew, because it has not really ever been done properly in a game before. Now, they say they are making sure that they can control multiple actions from single seats and making sure the turrets are all working correctly as well. So, very exciting. Again, we've seen the Constellation multi-crew demo. It wasn't in the best resolution and it was a bit glitchy at times, but it shows the potential. It also allows sort of one person to take control of all the systems, so not only is the multi-crew for everyone to help, but you can run it all yourself, and it's all part of the same thing. So over to Ilphonic, they point out some bugs and features, and they say that they're setting the depth of field for the helmet, so the heavy armour will feel more confined, probably a little claustrophobic, and the light armour is more open, allowing you to sort of feel like you've got less on. They also say it works well for goggles as well, but they didn't show us any examples. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, they've got some zero-G bug fixes. The new animations are in. They say that this week they had an issue with the ragdoll where it mixes with the animations. It was sort of locking up and not working, but they say that it's now all transitioning really well, and we shall hopefully see that. That'll be the next thing up that we get to see, I reckon. So then on to CIG in Austin. They say they're working on the peaceful NPC system, and it's coming along nicely. It's called Subsumption. It's a system that really helps build the AI for each character. So the bartender will go through sweeping the floors, pouring beers, everything you would expect a bartender to do. Also, something for Subsumption is called the Scheduler, or the Scheduler, which determines what NPCs will be around at what particular time of day. So night you get seedy people like pickpockets, bounty hunters, and then at daytime you get blue-collared suit type people. Again, I expect when it comes to the social module, we will probably get to see part of this and see how it will work, and over the course of a day and night cycle, whether it has it or not for the social module, we may see the transition of certain people. So Foundry 42, they've got people in helping the UK to get the characters integrated into the Star Citizen universe. While they were there though, they say that they noticed ways to develop the characters even more, but they needed to create the tools to do it. So that is something they are doing. They are creating tools to get the characters even more amazing than what they probably already are. They say they want the characters to be able to swap items like shoes, pants and clothes, but not just object based, material based as well, so you can choose whether it's leather, whether it's cloth, etc, etc. Very, very cool. There'll be a lot of customization in this game. And he said that clothes will degrade over time, and you'll be able to see if something is expensive or cheap, or if it is old or new. But they also say things like jeans will fade, so it's going to be a constant thing, and you will actually have to buy more clothes. I know to some people that may sound a bit tedious. To me, I love it. I love the idea. I mean, I don't hardly ever buy my own clothes, but a character in a game, I'd spend thousands on his clothes anyway. So over to Lisa Yohanyan for the ship shape. Now they are needing an intro as well. There's something was mentioned where if you want to put in an intro or like a logo that they can use, I'll find the link for you. If you want to create one, put it up there. They'll give you about 2 to 3 weeks and then they'll choose a winner. So she was talking about the Reliant. They say it's kind of a souped up starter ship. Multi-crew because it's got 2 seats. And she says that to start with it was more sort of Japanese aesthetics, sort of cars, symbology or symbolism. I don't know, one of those isn't a word. But they went more sort of MISC influence instead. With the Jean influence obviously, as it uses Jean technology. So it rotates, it can be horizontal, it can be vertical, it can fly both ways. Classed as a mini hauler, the centre body of the ship is where you would store it all. We shall get on to the Reliant in a second because it is now released for concept sale. Anyway, from there, we met with James Pugh, who is interviewing Ricky Jutley. He is the project manager for Arena Commander, based in the UK, this guy is. He's just visiting the LA office and discussing future plans, short-term to mid and then long-term goals for what they're going to do with Arena Commander. Again, if you want to hear his interview, please find the link for around the verse 45, and then you can use the times in their own video. So after that, we met with Daniel Kamensky, who is associate 3D artist, and he is talking all about surfacing effects, particularly PBR, which is physically based rendering, which is what gives the surfaces such fidelity and texture. And there's a little video of how metals will degrade. Now this is very impressive, and this is what will happen to your ship and any metal item in the verse over time. It will start off at 100% and then it will decrease down to, I suppose, whatever, 0%. But you can see it over time getting worse and worse, and maybe, you know, with your ship you can repair them, you can paint them. So this would cover up the depreciation. The last thing was a sneak peek, which is a set of playing cards. Hopefully they'll release a new set of playing cards, but it has the Reliant on it now. It is kind of irrelevant now as the next post is all about the Reliant. So on Friday we had the MISC Reliant concept sale. Now this is, again, a very exciting time in the world of Star Citizen. Anytime they have a ship launch, I get all tingly and excited to see what it's all about. I did, in the end, however, pick one up. They are only $50, although saying that with the VAT it's $60. So for £38, I figured a two-seater mini hauler is just a bargain, and I accidentally picked one up. I don't know how that button was clicked. Anyway, so they have a little blurb just explaining about the new MISC Reliant for $29.46, and I shall tell you all about the ship now. So it's a new model for $29.46, the MISC Reliant. Following the success of the Freelancers Built for Life campaign, MISC has begun developing a smaller introductory class spacecraft that can be operated by a single pilot. Although roughly designed to compete with the RSI Orion and the consolidated Outland Mustang, the Reliant is a very different animal. Based from the broad, sleek wings to the multiple flight modes and the second fully articulated crew seat, the Reliant is a small ship with a great deal of potential. The MISC Reliant makes copious use of Jan technology, the most ever applied to a human ship design, from a moving cockpit that slots into place depending on the flight mode to omnidirectional thrusters licensed under trade agreements with AOPA, the people who make the Jan Scout. The Reliant is one of the most high-tech ships on the market today. Advanced Jan metal composites make up the armoured wingspan, and every control surface has been meticulously updated from those developed for the Freelancer by MISC's internal Xenotech team. A flying wing, or is it? The Reliant changes from horizontal to vertical flight modes at the touch of a button. With a larger cargo hold than the Aurora Essential or the Mustang Alpha, the Reliant is the natural choice for anyone engaging in short-haul shipping. And that cargo also means there's plenty of internal room to expand, allowing the placement of medical systems, weapon racks, and more. Ultimately though, the Reliant is no transporter, it's sleek and manoeuvrable utility ship, more than capable of holding its own during combat. So it's quite a unique ship, and it does look just unbelievable. It's very, obviously, alien, very sleek, and yeah, I just fell in love with it. Anyway, it's 30 metres in length, 29 metres beam, 6 metres height, and 18,750 kilograms null cargo mass. Now, its cargo capacity is 30, which is pretty decent considering it's more than the Clipper, but I think the Clipper big box sort of hauling underneath box that you can use to carry more cargo may just surpass that. I think it was more like 48, I'm not too sure. Anyway, it's a two-person crew. The majority of the stats are still coming. It does have 2 TR1 factory engines and 12 TR1 manoeuvring thrusters. Current shield is an Inc 204. It has 2 Bearing M3A. I think these are fixed laser cannons. It has a gimbaled mount for a tractor beam, and it has 2 size 1 pylon with, it says it has 2 Task Force 1 guns mounted. And it does look as though it can, when it switches from horizontal to vertical flight, I think that's when it becomes more of an attack ship, because you've got the pylon at the top, and the gunner who sat at the top, I assume, would be able to use that and have good visibility, whereas the pilot will sit below the gunner and, again, have good visibility regardless of whether it's vertical or horizontal. Now, it says it has a distinctive manta ray silhouette, spacious, high-tech open cockpit, and it's going to be a common sight in the space lanes. So, with it being a mini hauler, it's something that a lot of people are going to use. I think myself, our friends, my brother, we will all sort of do little mini runs, maybe when we're not recording, maybe just for ourselves. And it seems ideal for this. Originally, it was designed with an influence from classical and modern Japanese art. It had sort of like the curvature of a fan, but it became less fan-like over time. They took inspiration from the ginkgo leaf and even like a beveled edge, like sort of samurai swords. Now, the Jan technology was mainly internal, but still they say it does inform the ship's exterior, as it quite obviously does. It does look similar to the Jan Scout or the Katu Owl. So it semi-transforms, as we know, and the cockpit seats reorient, rotating separately from the actual ship itself to either be side by side when horizontal or stacked when vertical. Now, this does give the pilot and the gunner maximum visibility, as you can probably see. It is the first of what they are calling a Tier 2 starter ship, and the Reliant will eventually become sort of a basis for an optional Star Citizen starter package, much like we've seen with the Mustang and the Aurora now. So they do go on to mention that there are some variants to this Reliant, this base model Reliant, and they're being worked on already. They say that this variant is named a mini hauler, just a sort of nickname, but it's really going to be like a jack of all trades with a slight focus on hauling. And using this model, this base model, you can customize your ship for anything from combat to electronic interception, which is very cool. So the 3 variants that are currently being developed, we have a Researcher, which is a science-orientated model that carries internal signal dampeners and advanced scanner suite for discovery missions. The next one is a Skirmisher, which is a frontier combat version, trades cargo for high-yielding power plants, stronger shields, and additional weapons mounts. And the third third one, which is I think is the most exciting for myself as I plan to do this, is a news van. So it's designed for deep space broadcasting. The News Van Reliant adds an image enhancement suite that helps capture every moment of life in the stars. Now that is something I have actually been planning on doing. It's a proper news type show within the verse, maybe a radio show. With this, it could be a TV style show. Who knows? It's very exciting. Anyway, these are available till the 1st of June, and with them you get obviously the Reliant ship. You have lifetime insurance, which is what you get from the concept sales. The benefit of buying it in concept now rather than when it's sort of hangar ready is that you get LTI on it and it's cheaper. You also get the Reliant poster, the Southland hangar, and the Takatsu Reliant model. So you get some benefits, and again, most of these things won't come when you buy it either in-game or for its second sale. Anyway, tell me your thoughts on it. I truly love this, and I seem to be collecting the starter ships, maybe because they're cheaper and I can't afford the big ones, but I just love the whole having a personal ship of your own that you can work on, you can fix, and something like this where you can actually dedicate it to hauling is fantastic. Anyway, that was the Reliant concept sale. Again, tell me your thoughts on it. Have you bought one? Do you want one? Are you excited about it? So recently we hit the 4,000 subscriber mark, and we continue to grow steadily. So to say a massive thank you to everyone, we decided to give away a MISC Reliant game package. This is really just to thank everyone who has subscribed, new and old, as without you guys watching every week, we would not be where we are, so thank you very much. The package includes a Reliant ship, the lifetime insurance, the Southland hangar, a Reliant hangar poster, and the Taketsu model. So to stand a chance of winning, you need to be a subscriber and just comment below with anything. Doesn't even need to be legible. The giveaway will be running for a month, so we'll announce the winner on the Star Citizen Sunday on the 21st of June, and we will be using a comments randomizer. So good luck, and again, thank you for watching. So also in the world of Star Citizen this week, we met with John Pritchett, who is the physics programmer. The hearing for the Goldfinch case, which is an ongoing in-fiction story, was posted this week, and Mark was back with Bug Smashers Episode 2. So don't forget, all links are in the description if you want to check out any of these posts on their own. So yet again, we have come to the end of the show. I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers and a massive thank you to all our patrons. You are truly helping our channel grow. If you are interested or able to help us out in way of a monthly donation from as little as $1 to any amount you deem fit, check out our Patreon page in the description. This really helps our channel to create more videos, better quality videos, and it allows us to get better hardware, better software, plus it allows us to spend more time on creating the videos. Don't forget to subscribe, comment if you have anything to say, show me the love by hitting the like button, and share it with all your friends and enemies. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in next week's show.